Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I want to talk about something that I feel these days is, sorry if you can hear like some kids singing, my daughter's lying next to me. I want to talk about something that I feel is very like taboo, I guess you can say. Something that's not very like talked about a lot, and if it is, it's like bad light shed on it or whatever. Mental health. So the month of May is mental health awareness, and I kind of want to share what I struggle with and what I'm still struggling with and what I've been struggling with the past 4 years, and what I do to deal with it and what I've been doing and what works for me. But if anything that you do, works for you, drop a comment below because maybe it'll work for me as well. I'm always up and open to hearing and seeing new ways to deal with what I struggle with. So here it goes. I want to say what I feel like. Maybe since I was like 14, maybe I've had depression, but I just never realized it. And obviously at 14 I didn't really know what it was. I've never heard anybody talk about, oh, like I'm depressed or blah blah blah. But I want to say it was when I was 14 or 15, my parents got a divorce, and it was very, very hard on me and my little sister, but very, very hard on me. And I see now, looking back, that I probably should have said something to someone, and I feel like it would have changed a lot of the bad decisions I made in life. But I mean, now I don't regret anything I've done because it made me into the woman that I am today. But what really made me realize that maybe something was wrong was I lost my sister. And it hit me hard. She was like a second mom to me, and I probably, even till this day, has probably never really dealt with her loss, because I don't know, I feel like when you lose someone that close to you, you don't really want to, I don't know, I guess accept it, that they're gone and you'll never see them again. And you wake up and you want to call them or text them, and I still find myself doing that. The other day, my son is obsessed with Come On Eileen by Sade Ferris, and the first thing I wanted to do was text my sister because that was her favorite song by her, one of her favorite bands. So I feel like that's when I started to notice, when I lost her, that something was wrong. But in that time, I was brought out of it by my husband. He brought me out of the depression, and I was literally never, like, I've never been that happy. And then a few months after we got together, I found out I was pregnant with my son, who is now 4. So maybe postpartum also played a big part in it. I felt not alone. Yeah, I guess you could say alone. I went back to work 3 months after he was born, and it was hard because, just having a newborn and working, bills, rent, your marriage, everything just kind of, I felt like I don't know, like bricks just like fell on top of me, and there was like, I was struggling to get them off of me or to even survive. And then when my son was don't know, maybe 6 months, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. I didn't want to have another child that soon, nor did I know if I even wanted a second child, because, you know, I felt like I was already missing out on so much with my son, and, you know, now I'm gonna bring somebody else, and, you know, I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't split myself into two, I guess. So it was hard for me. When my daughter was born, I felt probably at my lowest since my sister's passing. That's the time where I felt alone. For sure, I can say, like, for sure that I felt alone. And oh my god, I said I wasn't gonna cry. First, because I'm a very ugly crier, and two, it's hard. So when my daughter was 3 months, I decided, on top of working, to go back to school and finish, because I knew that it would benefit my family. And I've always been the type of person that does whatever she needs to do to get it done. Or I've always been like goal oriented also. Like, I knew like finishing school was one of my goals. Because my older sister, the one who passed, you know, she was always like, go to school, finish, and I eventually did. So when she was 3 months, I decided to go back to school, and on top of that, I was working 40 hours a week. So I would literally be gone from 8 in the morning until 10 at night. And I really have to like thank my mother-in-law, because if it was not for her watching my kids at night, I would not have been able to finish school. I felt like I wasn't doing enough, and then doing too much. I was still breastfeeding my daughter. I would go home on my breaks and feed her or pump, or, you know, do what I needed to do for her. And I felt like again, like I wasn't here enough for them, but also that I was doing too much from, like, I guess I was doing too much also. And my daughter's watching me as I'm doing this. Hi. So I felt like there was like a lot of pressure on me to finish and to keep working and to be a great mom and to be a good wife and to be a good sister and daughter-in-law and so on and so forth. And I just kind of lost track of myself. And who I was. Hi. It's okay. I'm okay. I promise. I love you. Okay. And I want to say last year was like one of my hardest years. I don't even know why I'm crying, 'cause like probably it still hurts somewhere deep down inside, but I know like what I'm about to say, like I've overcome. And my family and I have moved past it, and I couldn't I couldn't have a better life now. So when people say like you literally have to go through the bad to get what you want in the end, is not a joke. It's, you have to go through some shit to see what God has in plan for you. And so last year, my husband and I were like fighting a lot, and I felt like I couldn't talk to him, and he always just looked. And I guess it doesn't help because also my husband has been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, so that's what I suffer with as well. Anxiety and depression. So with him, it's like anything can trigger his anxiety, and you know, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to, you know, bother him with what I was going through, because then it's gonna like give him anxiety that I feel this way, and you know, I didn't want to add that on top of the problems that we were already having. Oh God, I didn't think this would be hard. So last year, my husband and I separated because I couldn't deal anymore with not only his anxiety and his depression, but mine also. Like, there were days where I didn't want to get out of bed. There were days where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I doing or sacrificing all these things if I'm not getting the end result that I want? So I left. And I want to say that's like the most cowardice thing I've done my entire life, because knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have left. But it affected everybody around me, and I was having anxiety every day. Like, the thought of waking up, or actually just like doing anything, I would get like anxious about it, and I'm just like, oh God, what was I thinking? And my depression is, I feel like, the one that I wouldn't say like, well, yes, it's the most, my depression like dominates me in my life, and there are days still where I feel low, where I feel like I'm not good enough for my kids or my husband. Or anybody in my life, and it sucks. But when we separated, it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that separation, I feel like, was meant to be, because we learned a lot about ourselves individually, and ourselves as parents, and ourselves as, you know, as a married couple. And one of the hardest things that I've noticed is admitting when you're wrong. Admitting when you're wrong in all aspects, because I see, like, even in other relationships that I see, like, there's always someone to blame. Like, never like, well, so and so take the blame for this or that, you know. And that's where it comes, like, I feel like that's the first step, is knowing where you're wrong. knowing where to be like, you're right, I was blah 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 blah, and this is what blah 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 blah, you know. So I felt like we learned a lot in saying like, hey, you know what, like I did do those things, and he felt the same way, like yeah, he noticed where he went wrong and what he was doing wrong. And it took us being apart to bring us back together and make us the couple that we are right now. And what helped was, you know, they always say that you always need that one person you can talk to and tell anything to. Usually that's your partner, but in my case it's not. And we're totally okay with it. Like, he understands that there are things that he can't help me with or he'll never understand, so he understands that. Sometimes he can't be that person for me, and usually it's your partner or a family member. Like my little sister, she's my best friend. We tell each other everything. But even then, like, it wasn't her that I was missing or that I needed to talk to. So what works for me is talking to a therapist. And a lot of people that I know are like anti going to therapy because it's like that you're crazy and that, you know, you need to be on medication. They're just going to prescribe you, you know, meds to, you know, instead of talking to you or helping you out in a different way, they're just going to drug you. And the therapist I go to doesn't do that. He's actually very open, and he's a recovering addict himself, so I don't think he would ever recommend medication to cope with everything that you're going through. But talking to someone helps me a lot. And I feel now that I can talk to my husband. Before, it was like walking on eggshells because I didn't want him to go into an anxiety attack, or, you know, for him to fall into a depression episode, which I've seen happen with him, and it's heartbreaking knowing that you can't help. But I feel like going to therapy was one of the things that helped me deal with my depression and deal with my anxiety. He taught me how to meditate. He taught me how to just give myself some me time, even if it's like 10 minutes, you know, just to myself. And another thing that has worked for me, it may not work for you, it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me, is I found God again. I'm a Christian and I've been going to church my entire life, but I've never felt what I feel now when I go. Like, I feel that he's actually helping me, that I feel like he's showing me the path that he wrote for me, and I feel like a brand new person. And I know that talking to him, praying and going to church, and, you know, surrounding myself around people who believe in the things that I believe in, have the faith that I have, helps. And, you know, my husband started to go to church with us, or with me and the kids, and it's been a blessing for our marriage as well. We have never been closer spiritually, because it's not that he didn't believe, he just had a very, oh man, I don't even know how to explain how he felt. He's very open, but he doesn't like, well, I don't know, I don't want to speak for him. So but it's brought us closer together spiritually, and it's brought us closer in our parenting, our marriage, our lives, our everything. It's brought us closer. And, you know, talking really does help, but effective talking, because when you are upset, I know, for me at least, I go off and I'm not listening to the other person because I'm so focused on what I want to say and focused on my point that I forget about the other person. And that's not fair to them. Hi, love. Please, give me a kiss. ¿Y te damos un beso? And you know, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't even help you at the end. If you really look at the big picture, you guys are both yelling at each other, but neither one of you are listening to the other person's words because you're yelling. And that's not an effective way to communicate. So we've learned how to communicate with each other. And that goes back to therapy because he gave us the tools that we needed to learn to communicate with each other, and it's been a blessing. Therapy, going to church, God has been such a blessing to us, and I want to just share my experiences with you guys and share what it's like for me, at least. You know, just like a couple of days ago, I was like in a depression episode, just literally for no reason, and it sucks. It sucks big time because you have to learn how to bring yourself out of it. Like, you, no matter, I know I see a lot of things like on the internet, like think of your kids, think of your family, and it's like, yeah, I do think of those things, but at the end of the day, that's not what, you know, brings me out of my episode, I guess. I don't know what they call it, but talking to my therapist and going to church helps a lot. And if you don't have anybody you can find in, then it's gonna be hard, you know, to talk, or to, not to talk, but it's gonna be hard to find your ways, because talking it out, that's how you find your ways. So talking to somebody, talking to a therapist will help you find, you know, your own unique ways of dealing with your anxiety and your depression, and living your life to your fullest and how you want to live it in a healthy way instead of being self-destructive. I learned a lot, and I want to be able to help somebody as well. I want to be able to, if I touch one person's life out there, if I change one person's life just by my experiences and what I've been through, then I've done what I feel like God has put me on this earth to do, and it is to help people. I've always felt, you know, the need to help people in any way that I can, and if this is the way He's telling me I can help people, then this is what I'll do. And I will be grateful in it, and I'll be grateful in Him. And if you guys have any suggestions or any tips on how you guys deal with your anxiety and depression, leave it down below in the comments, because maybe they'll work for me as well. And I'm always up for new ways to deal with, you know, everyday life that stresses me out and causes anxiety, and then I think about it too much, and I'm like, that's when I realize like I'm in a depression episode. Or I wish I knew what the word was. Maybe you guys know. It's like, get like in this funk. So it's like, they definitely go hand in hand, the anxiety and the depression. And I know a lot of people who suffer from anxiety, and I know people with anxiety perseverate a lot, and I catch myself perseverating a lot. And it's finding ways to get yourself out of it. I would really recommend talking to somebody first, because that's where you will get your inspiration to be better, to do better, and what will help you be better. But that's it for today, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time. Bye!